So the Paycom Arena was built 30 years ago. Fantastic addition to downtown Oklahoma City. Served a lot of purposes, had some great concerts there. And at the end of 30 years, due to the basketball team and a lot of the needs and requirements from the NBA, the Paycom Arena had kind of reached the end of its life cycle. The city of Oklahoma City wanted a new basketball arena. The location selected for that was where the Paycom Center currently resides. The constraint was that all the utilities for Paycom was fed from the Paycom Center. So in order to build the new arena, all new utilities had to be fed into the Paycom.
The Paycom Arena project started when the existing chilled and hot water they were receiving from the old convention center was being torn down. Our partner EEI worked with the engineer FSB to help them design a solution so they could provide water while they had to tear down the convention center.
The arena was faced with the need to remove their existing source of heating and cooling while the facility continued to operate, and time was also of the essence.
Typically, a project like this would take a year to 18 months. From the time we started to the time startup was completed, which was about 7 months. So the timeline was critically important.
One of the constraints that we had was we could never at any point let the heating water system get down below 120 degrees. It would have caused leaks. So our biggest constraint was to build an entire heating water plant, leave the existing plant going until the last minute, and then switch it over.
We needed a heating and cooling solution that could be skid mounted so we could keep the existing facility running while we were working on the solution. So we worked with EEI and Grundfos to put boilers, pumps, drives, other equipment on skids and installed that while the facility was running on its current source. We brought in the engineering team, which included Corey from FSB.
I started the project by developing a schematic for both systems. That was the prompt that I gave Grundfos to develop the skids. Here's the products I want to use. Here's the schematic. Got to layouts that were perfect for the room, and they were broken out into multiple skid sections and coordinated with the contractor very closely from a constructability standpoint.
And as we talked through the complications of the job, we had the entire team together. It became a very synergistic process.
Grundfos was extremely valuable in their ability to understand what we were asking for, and that allowed us to drive to the solution that we ended up with.
Grundfos provided CR pumps on this package for the type of pump they are. They're the most efficient vertical multi-stage pump in the market.
The Grundfos CR pumps that were utilized in the design saved a ton of space. They're vertical, and there is no vibration, so we don't have to worry as much about noise. The pumps include what's called a cartridge seal, which is easily replaceable. So the pumps, from a maintenance standpoint, from an efficiency standpoint, are absolutely remarkable.
And then on the control side of things, Grundfos is excellent about having good literature. All the technical data books readily available and very detailed. So I read the whole thing front to back. Sure enough, it was able to do 98% of what I had envisioned and conceptualized for this job. So we were able to accomplish essentially all of the controls that we wanted to do for this plant.
On top of the pumps, we also provided a pump controller called our CU352. It's created to not only have protections in place to help protect the pumps, but it also has some what we call efficiency-based stagings that stage the pump on and off at their best efficiency points to use the least amount of kilowatts to provide the flow that's needed when it's needed. They showed up, tested, working, and made it a seamless integration as they were installed.
The installation went perfectly. When we turned the system on, we hit the numbers we were looking for almost instantly. It made me feel relieved that we had this magnitude of a project, and it was a set it and forget it situation.
It was a perfect solution. No other pump, in my opinion, would have been anywhere near as effective in the layout and the performance.
Well, it worked out extremely well. Grundfos was great, EEI was great, the engineer was great, the construction team that did the install, everybody worked together seamlessly to make it happen.
The system has been in operation now for just under a year, and we have had no problems with the pumps. My encounter with Grundfos on this was very, very positive. Everybody I reached out to was responsive and professional and answered the questions that I needed answered in a very expedient manner.